With Rob Lewis, Brent Hubbs, Volquest.com, a little top five. We've kind of been looking forward to this one all season long. Tennessee and Alabama, top five since 1980. Rob, been some great moments for Tennessee. Been some long droughts in there as well.
It's been a little while.
Some ugly scenes for sure, but there's obviously been some great moments in this one. When you talk about the five best, it's hard to go and figure it out exactly which five you're going to go with. I'm going to give my number five first. And it's a toss-up to me between the 96 Tennessee-Alabama game where Tennessee won and Jay Graham went down the sideline here, or the 0-3 five-overtime thriller.
I'll go with 96. I like both of those. I mean, the 0-3 game, I remember, that was just crazy. I mean, down in Birmingham, James Banks makes, great play. I remember Jason Allen made a big play in that game. Casey Clausen adding to, his reputation as a road warrior. But I go with 96 simply because both teams were better. You had Peyton and obviously everything going on with Tennessee. Alabama was good then, and the way they sealed it with Jay Graham's run.
Well, that was the first time Tennessee beat Alabama in Knoxville in a long time when you go back and look at it, because the 95 game, which broke the streak, was obviously in Birmingham. And then you got to go back probably all the way to 82 when Tennessee had beaten Alabama in the stadium. So it was electric that night. Hard to go past 4th and 19 when you draw it up in the dirt, though, to extend that game in overtime. Two really good football games, a couple of really iconic type plays. You got Casey Clausen's dive in the end zone with that iconic picture where the ball's hitting the pylon. I still remember Spencer Riley getting a block and Jay Graham turning the corner there for nobody to catch him in 96. So those two would be in the top five, or be on the cusp of the top five there, depending on which way you look at it. After that, it gets really hard and really tough. Interesting. As a kid, the Johnny Jones run with the iconic John Ward call in 1983, Johnny Jones from Mumford, Tennessee, to seal that one. And, that game was 34-34 or 35-35 was the score, and he breaks that tie late in that game. Cockrell at quarterback. But that run by Johnny Jones is one of the legendary runs in Tennessee history.
Yeah, to me, I remember it exactly. I'm old enough to where, that's how I remember it too. I remember the John Ward call, before I saw a highlight,
right?
For sure. This was a day where you had maybe two college football games on TV right. on Saturdays, and Tennessee was not at a place where they were usually one of them. And so it's funny you mentioned that, because that is, when I think about that run, it's impossible to think about it and not think about John Ward and making the call. And also, I think what added a little bit more to that was I guess the first time Tennessee had won back-to-back in decades.
Yeah, and I think as a kid, for me, remembering the 83 game is easier to remember the 82 game because there's an iconic play in it.
Sure.
The 82 game, you got Mike Terry down here in the south end zone intercepting the ball, and what turns out to be Bear Bryant's last game in Neyland Stadium, and Tennessee snaps a streak, and
Johnny gets carried off the field.
The celebration was euphoria, but I don't know that there's an iconic play in the 82 game the way there is the 83 game. But to break the streak, to do what Tennessee did, Alabama was second-ranked team in the country. The 82 game's got to be high up on the list.
I think it's fair to put it at number 3. Just because of what you said, I think that the streak adds so much to it.
Right.
When Johnny coming back, he'd been back for several years, but certainly in Alabama was just rolling. Johnny had not had a lot of success up to that point, and that was really, that was a signature win. It would be a few more years before Johnny broke through, but I think that win really, signaled to a lot of old-time Tennessee people that he was turning the corner.
Well, no doubt. And again, just the relief of breaking the streak was such a magnitude in the celebration that took place here as a result of it once Mike Terry sealed it with that interception here in the south end zone. That leaves 2 spots left to pick from. All right, we're not going to talk about the 90 game. That's not one of them, obviously.
Even though I remember that one vividly.
That's one of the more painful ones.
9-6.
We might save that top 5 for a really dreary, rainy day, but we're not going to talk about that after a Tennessee win and on a day of sunshine for sure. But you've got 85 and you've got 95 really to pick from in the last 2. It's a toss-up either way.
I think you're prejudiced because you were in the booth with John Ward in 95.
I
think that.
But and it broke the streak. It broke the streak too.
But man, 85. I can remember watching it on TBS. When TBS had the Saturday afternoon game, Tony Robinson gets hurt. This is
everybody's turning the TV off.
It's a couple weeks after he's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Tennessee beats Auburn. You think, man, this is it. It's happening. It's happening. He goes down, and it's just abject. There's no way Tennessee's pulling this off. And we talked about Johnny Jones with a signature play. How about the Dale Jones deflection, interception off the tip pass of Mike Shula. I mean, that's one of the most iconic football plays in Tennessee history, I think. And they win that game 16-14, go on, beat Miami in the Sugar Bowl. To me, it's 85. But I mean, I'm not going to quibble very hard.
Well, you talk about iconic play with Dale Jones. What about the naked handoff reverse from the left side, and nobody knows who has the ball? You got the naked bootleg from Peyton. You got the opening play to Joey Kent for a touchdown to break a streak when Tennessee had not been. They'd been close, and you felt like Tennessee, it was heartbreak city. You just knew Brother Oliver, the defensive coordinator, was going to pick on a sophomore quarterback, and Tennessee just carved him apart. It's hard to pick between the two because I remember the emotions when Tony Robinson got hurt as a kid because you were so excited about that team. Because here's really the first time as a kid that I can remember Tennessee's like, man, they're on their way. Sports Illustrated cover, Tony Robinson, Heisman Trophy, all those things. Jackson. And then all of a sudden he's on crutches. And you think the season's over because they bring in this Dickey kid. Who's he? He's not very good, right?
And then I just can't get the Dale Jones play is what I think seals it for me.
And then, but you got the 95 play and the 95 game, which really set the stage for Tennessee to go on and do a lot of unbelievable things. It put Peyton Manning was already on the map, but that was the signature. That was the coming out party for him, and really the coming out party for what Tennessee would be over the course of the next 4 years. You can't go wrong with either one of them. I think the one thing that jumps out in all the games that we picked is there's an iconic play that's pretty much painted in your mind.
Maybe a painting of it.
Yeah, there may be a painting of it, that's for sure. But certainly those plays are what makes those games resonate as some of the top 5 games in this series between Tennessee and Alabama since 1980. I'm sure we got several of them wrong in your opinion. Jump on the GQ and talk to us about it. For Rob Lewis, I'm Brent Hubbs, Volquest.com.